This is what we are going to build in today's lecture, which is an Apollo scraper, and this is the output with just one simple query. For example, let us open chat. Let's say lead generation agency in New York, or cold email agency in Boston, or design agency in London. It will find out all the prospects that are in your ideal customer profile as well as enriched with their email address and automatically add into your cold email sequence. Again, what is happening here is we are using Apollo IO, and we are not sourcing from Apollo IO because, as you know, Apollo IO is very expensive. We are getting the exact same data that we will get from Apollo IO, but at 1/10 of the price by using Epify actors. It will find prospect in your ideal customer profile. After that, it will enrich with email status, and we are only allowing valid emails to automatically add to our cold email campaigns in our example smartly. And we will use AI to come up with this URL on its own. So again, as I mentioned, all you need to do is just add your simple query in natural language, and our AI will automatically convert into Apollo URL. Since we have this URL, we will use Epify actors to scrape leads. Now once we have the lead leads from Apollo IO, we will also have prospects email address. But again, you might know we cannot trust Apollo's email address verification system. That's why we will use Reun to verify if this email address is valid or not. And then once it is valid, we will automatically add them to our cold email campaign in our example Smart Lead. Alright, so this is what we are going to build in today's lecture. Let us start from scratch. Welcome back everyone. The first node will be chat input. So whatever you will input, it will automatically source those data. So search for chat input or chat trigger. Next, what we want to do is whatever query that we input. For example, let us open chat. Let's say we want to find out lead generation agencies in London, right? So we want to convert this natural language query in our example lead generation agencies in London automatically to Apollo URL. So if we open apollo.io, I'm just showing you example. So let me log in with my account. Even though I have Apollo IO paid subscription, I'm still using Epify actors to scrape this data. So let us go to people and let us search for design agency. So we have 7,000 agency, but let's say we want to add the location of New York. In New York, there are 89 design agencies. So I want to scrape out all of this data, and you can see it will create this URL on its own. So if you know Apollo IO, it will have a unique URL for each search query. In this example, we are using design agency. So as you can see, the keyword is design and agency, and the person that we are going after, the location that we are going after is New York. So let's chat with OpenAI model to come up with this Apollo URL. You can use Perplexity, you can use Claude, DeepSeek, whatever you like. But in this example, I am using OpenAI. And we are going to use text section, which is message a model. Therefore, connect your OpenAI account. And for model, let us use the best one, which is GPT 4.5. Because we are dealing with sensitive thing, which is to come up with the Apollo URL, we want to use the best model of OpenAI, which is 4.5 preview. And now comes the messaging part. So in order to play out and test with our OpenAI model, let us use Playground. Search for Playground OpenAI. The first link. Here is our Playground. The beautiful thing about Playground is you can test your model as many times as you want. You can test your prompt without you having to pay a single dime. So let us select first of all our model. So this is the system field prompt that we defined to our model. This is the assistant message, and this is our user message. Alright, I hope this makes sense. So if we go back to our N8N account, if you can see in the role, we have 3 roles. The first is system, second is assistant, and the third is user. So I will show you. This is the system one. So whenever you are, let's say, selecting system field prompt, you are defining system field prompt here. Then this is the assistant, and this is your user prompt. Alright, I hope this makes sense. This is a general overview of Playground dashboard. First of all, let us add system field prompt. We can say something like, you are helpful sales assistant. And in prompt, we can say, I want you to come up Apollo URL just from natural language query inputted by the user. We can also add some example. We can say example of the search query or search URL. Let us go to Apollo and simply copy and paste this. So we can say the user query was design agency in New York. So we want to tell our AI to come up with this type of URLs for each unique query. we can say the query of the user was design agency in New York. Alright, I hope this makes sense. After that, we can say don't add or don't change or don't remove anything from the URL. Do not add or change any other fields. Use just our template. Next thing, if we go back to Apollo, we only want to target decision makers or C-level executives. So if we go after job titles, let us search for CEO. So as you can see in person title, it will automatically add CEO to the URL. We can say founder. Again, it will add this in the URL. Yeah, so we want to give our AI model this type of URL that has C-level executives in it, so that whenever we are searching next time, it will automatically come up with those URLs who has this like of job title which is C-level executives or CEOs or co-founders. I hope this makes sense. We don't want to get generic Apollo IO URL. We want this specific URL, for example, targeting C-level executives only. Let's add owner, then partner or co-founder, whatever you like. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's copy this URL. Again, let us replace with this one, because that one was very basic, which was design agencies in New York, but we want to only target C-level executives. That's why we have used this example in the Apollo, that is targeting all the C-level executives. And we can also give certain description about the URL. We can say this URL describes a search of people that are located in New York, holds the title of C-level executive, and have the keyword association with design agency. We are just simply describing from the URL. So see, in the person location we have New York, then in keyword we have design agency. We are just simply explaining much better in the prompt. Then we can also include owner personal title, personal profile, etc. etc. After that, we can say to our AI model that this location, titles, and the keyword association will be always changing according to the user input. These are the fields that you can change, which is organization location, keyword, and the person titles. Alright, we are just simply copying this, then the person location or organization location and the keyword. That's pretty much it. Any response or result, we only want the URL. That's it. We don't want any explanation by OpenAI model. So we can say at the end, return your response in this JSON format, which is curly brackets, search URL, and search URL will go here. In this example, which is a search URL, and this is the URL. Alright, so let's click on enter. So this will be the assistant response. And there you go. It did for another example, which is marketing agency, all the C-level executives, and the location is Chicago. It actually gives us like an example, right? So if we say we want to find out, let's say software engineers in San Francisco. Let's click on enter. Just do trial and error with 3-4 times with different niche and see if it is actually opening the Apollo URL or not. Let's open this one. Yeah, so in the search bar, as you can see, software engineers in San Francisco. Awesome, so it is working fine. If we want to test it out again, we can say dentist in London. So as you can see, it is pretty smart. It is only finding out the keyword that we are using. In our example, dentist or software engineer. And the dentist should be owner, partner, or founder. And yeah, location is London and the keyword is dentist. So our Apollo URL is working fine for every search query. So we can use this prompt. Let's just copy this prompt and then let us paste it here. And the role will be obviously user. Why user? Because we are giving the prompt to our OpenAI model. Again, if we go back, we have given the prompt. So this is the user, this is the assistant, and this is the system field prompt. So let us copy our system message or system field prompt. Let us go back to N8N, click on add a message, and this time for role, we will select system. We can say you are a helpful smart sales assistant, and let us add that message from chat input. So whatever will be the query of the user, we can assign a role of user and it will be Right now we are hard coding the value, but don't worry. Further on, we will just embed this expression or variable message that we will get from chat input. Alright, I hope this makes sense. So design agencies in London. And let us test the step. Awesome. So we have the Apollo URL. Let's open it. Yeah, it is working fine. It is not showing any error. Design agencies in London and all the C-level executives. Next, what we want to do is we want to use Epify actors to scrape this URL because we don't want to pay a single dime to Apollo IO. Even I have the problem, but I'm not willing to use any of my Apollo credits because it is so costly. That is why we are going to use Epify. So search for Epify, login or sign up with your account. And the beautiful part about Epify is we don't have to pay any monthly subscription. It's like pay as you go. So let's say you want to scrape out 1000 leads only. So you only need to pay for 1000 leads. So that's the beautiful thing about Epify. Alright, we are back inside of our Epify dashboard. What we are doing is we want to scrape from Apollo IO. If we go to top of Mount Everest, what we are actually doing is first there is LinkedIn Sales Navigator, right? So Apollo IO is scraping data from LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Now what we are doing is we are using Epify to scrape Apollo.io data. So we are actually getting the same data from LinkedIn Sales Navigator, from Apollo IO to our Epify actor to our N8N account, but 1/10 of the cost. That's why we are using epify.com. So let us go to stores and let us search for Apollo. And yeah, we can use the first one, which is scrape up to 50,000 leads. And you can see for $0.2, you can scrape out 1000 leads. If we go to Apollo pricing, for $59, you can only scrape up to 5000 leads. So let's multiply 1.2 into 5. So yeah, for $6, you can scrape out 5000 leads by using Epify. That's why we are using Epify. Now the question is, how do we call Epify actors inside our N8N? Again, by using HTTP request. So search for HTTP. And yeah, we need to add the URL, headers, everything. So, and we are fortunate Epify has the API documentation. So let's open it. So we want to run actors synchronously and get the dataset item. Let us open the API reference. And scroll down and we are here in the post method. So the method is post. And this will be our URL. Here you can see we have to input the actor ID. So let us open this so that you can see it much better way. So we need to add the actor ID. So how we can find the actor ID? Let us go back. Yeah, if you see in between, this is our actor ID. So copy this and paste it here. Keep it to fix. That's it. Now let us go back to API documentation and you can see it has provided the curl code. This is the URL. These are the headers, content type, application, content type, accept and authorization. So let us add those inside our headers. Enable these headers. Name is accept, application /JSON. See, both of these headers are same. So adding one of them will work just fine. Thereafter, it is asking for authorization and our API key. So let's add another parameter for authorization. And let's add our API key. So how we can find our API key? Go to settings. Click on API and integration and let's create new token. We can say copy this, paste it here. Again, I'm reminding bearer, B should be capital, space and your API token. And yeah, JSON. And for body, here, we don't have anything. So what we can do? They are just telling us to define the object. They should give some example. So let us go back to our actor. Let us click on JSON. And yeah, so this is your JSON body. So let's copy this and enable the body. we want to define it manually. Click on expression, let's open it. And yeah, for our URL, this is our JSON code where we will input the URL that we will get from our AI. So we can also define records as well, like we only want to scrape 500 leads at a time. So we can also add that. We can say total records is equal to 500 at a time, then enter comma. And now it's time to add our URL here. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's good to go now. And as you can see, the content right now is in JSON and we need to add this content inside URL. But the problem is, this is not exact search URL. We want to simplify the output. So let us go back. First of all, let us rename this. Let's say Apollo URL Maker. Now if we scroll down, enable this output content as JSON. Let us test this again. Awesome, now we just have the URL. So if we go back, open our Epify node, you can see we don't have anything extra. So we can just simply drag and drop it here. Awesome. And now let's test our Epify actor. Click on test. We have replaced the chat trigger with click manually to save us some time. So here it will come up with the URL and then it will run our Epify actor. So if we open it, we don't have any error because it is taking the time. So if we go back to our Epify actor, click on run. Awesome. It just executed successfully for 18 result and this was your usage. And this is the date. So let us go back to our N8N and see. Yeah, we have 18 outputs. Let's see the results. We have the first name, last name, the LinkedIn URL, the title, and the email verification is verified. Awesome. So this is the information we need. But again, we are not simply going to use Apollo's email verification. We are going to use Real to double verify our email address. This is the email address, etc, etc. Awesome. So log in or sign up with your email verification account. In my example, I'm using this, but you can use Million Verifier, whatever you like. And then let us go to API and integration. Then let us create new API, then copy your API key. And if you scroll down, they have entire API documentation. We can use single email validation. So what we can do is we can introduce loop inside our N8N. So it will only go one email at a time. So they have two modes. First is quick and the second is power. I think we can use the quick one. So this is the URL that we need to call and the URL is get request. So let us add another HTTP request. The method is get and paste the URL. So open the URL and we have to add our email here. So remove this email and add the email that we will get from Epify. In our first example, it was not able to find out the email. So right now the value is null. But still we are going to add the value of email here and then our API key. Remove this key, go back to our UUN and then copy your API key from here. Don't get any funny idea, use your own API key. I'm going to delete this key right after this lecture. And the mode is quick, that is fine for us. And let's introduce loop here. And for batch size, we only want to use one email at a time. So let's delete all of this and then let's loop this. And introduce a wait node of 1 second. Then let's loop this. Awesome. Let us use another example. So we can say marketing agencies in New York. Let us test our step. Awesome. So right now it is in our Epify. So as you can see, it is running. And we are limiting only to 500 records. Awesome. So as you can see, it is looping. Yeah, but as of now, let us stop our workflow because we just want to test it. So we have the email here of Victoria. And you can see it can accept all mail. So it is valid. And if this email is valid, we only want to send out to our cold email campaign. So let us go back. And here we can add an if condition. If this email is valid, then and then only add to our cold email campaign. Click on plus, then search for if condition. So for value, let us add a limit to save some time. Let's say we only want to process three items at a time. Let us click on execute workflow. Yeah, so we have put the limit of 3 to save some time. Now we have the payload. So what we are looking for is If the email status is verified, then and then only pass it to the next node. So if it is true, then we want to add this data to our Google Sheet or cold email campaign. Let us search for first of all Google Sheets. Let us open row in our sheet. So first of all, let us create a new Google Sheet account. Let's sheets.new, we can say. Let us select Apollo Scraper, sheet 1. Awesome. So what we want to add is obviously the name, the LinkedIn URL, their title, their email address, and email verification. So let's add these headers. Click on retry or refresh. And we want to manually map each column. So we have the ID here. We have the first name, their last name, their full name, their LinkedIn URL, title, and the email status, which is valid. And if you want to add the photo URL, you can do that as well. But let's remove photo URL because we don't need it. Awesome, so that's pretty much it. Let us save our workflow and let us run it again. We can also add a column of do nothing. If this is false, if the email is not verified, we don't want to deal with anything. Yeah, here you don't want to run it every single time. You can just pin the data from the Epify actor and it will execute every single time from that same data. Awesome, so it is in the email verification and we got into an error. Okay, so it is set to Boolean, but we want to make it string is equal to, yeah. So A stands for string and the tick mark stands for true or false or basically Boolean. And this is the email status. Alright, so let's spin this data. Let's spin it. And let us test our workflow from here. So let's wait for the results. Awesome. So we have their full name, the LinkedIn URL, their title, and the email verification is done. Now we can simply add this to our cold email campaign. So if we go back to our last lecture, which was company internal people finder, we have this cold email campaign. So we can simply just copy this node and paste it here. Let us add this data, configure your API key and your campaign ID. Let's open this. So let us configure the title. We don't want the website. Let's add the email and the first name. Feel free to add as many fields as you like, but I'm just showing these 3 fields as an example. Yeah, and once you test this step, this field will be automatically added to your Smart Lead campaign. So let us open our Smart Lead account. So in this campaign, let us delete all leads. Alright, so we don't have any leads. Let us test this step. Awesome, so we have green tick mark, so everything is good. So as you can see, it has successfully added these leads to our cold email campaign of Smart Lead account. Yeah, so that's how you can use this Apollo Scraper at 1/10 of the cost without you having to do anything. All you need to do is just change this input field or query, for example, dentist in Boston, or whatever query you have in your mind. Alright, that's all from my side. Feel free to check out the resource section. This workflow will be there. Bye bye, take care, and I will see you in the next one. This is what we are going to build in today's lecture, which is company's internal people finder. Sometimes you might have noticed that you are using Clay to find out the C-level executives or decision makers of that prospect. Well, by using this N8N workflow, you don't have to use Clay anymore. You don't have to pay those hefty living fees to Clay. Just by using this workflow at 1/10 of the cost, you can find out C-level executives or any person in that particular company for your prospect. So let us get started. First of all, let me show you the demo first, right? So let's say we have this prospect named Pete, and Pete is working at rb2b.com. Now we want to find out C-level executive at this company. For example, CEO, CTO, founder, etc. etc. Imagine Pete is your existing client, or if you have your SaaS product. For instance, let us open a SaaS product. Let's take Subpage as an example. Imagine Pete just signed up by using his email and name. That's it. And we want to find out the C-level executives and we want to reach out to them. So what this workflow will do is it will automatically trigger and find out by using Apollo and Prospeo the C-level executives and their email address And what we are doing is we are going to automatically add them to our cold email campaigns in our LinkedIn automation. For instance, we are able to find out the founder, in this example Adam Robinson, their email and the company URL. For example, hey Adam, please just sign up for whatever product that you have and seems having a great time. Since you are the founder or the CEO of the company, you might want to try it out as well. Cheers. So I'm just giving you one demo or one example. You can use it for your existing clients, you can use it for your sales, etc, etc. Alright, so it's time to get started and let's build it from scratch. The first node will be obviously the trigger one. In this example, we are using start trigger. We want to manually start trigger, but you can use webhook. So for instance, if you are having a SaaS product, right? Once someone will join or once someone will sign up or log in, it will automatically trigger this webhook at that moment. So you can use webhook for that reason. But in this example, as I'm showing you, I want to use manual trigger. So select trigger manually. The next node will be the data source of our existing client or existing lead. In this example, I'm using Google Sheet, but feel free to use Airtable, HubSpot, ClickUp, whatever you like. So what we are doing here is we are reading from our Google Sheet. So search for Google Sheets. And as we are reading, we will use get rows from the sheet. Now select your sheet. In my example, it is Company Insider, the name and the sheet 1. And now let us click on Test tab. And let us pin this data so that we don't have to run it manually every single time. We have Pete and his email. But first, let us quickly go back to our Blackboard to understand the flow of our AI agent. Again, I am repeating this. Mind mapping your workflows before building out is the best and efficient way in order to build these type of complex workflows. You need to understand what is going to happen next inside your workflow. Alright, so coming back to our Blackboard, the first node will be always the trigger one. So it can trigger this workflow when a new user sign up or when a new row has been added to your Google Sheet account. So I'm simply going to use Google Sheet because a lot of you guys are familiar with Google Sheet. Then we are going to introduce a code node. Basically this code, what it will do is from the email, for example, manthan@leadgenman.com, it will scrape out the domain of my business or of my company. After that, we are going to pass all of this information, which is the name of the prospect, the email and the domain to AI agent. And we are going to tell our AI agent to find out C-level executives or 2-3 decision maker from this company of our prospect. And how we're going to find that or how we're going to scrape those data source by using Apollo. There are so many options, but I have found out that in order to find the company enrichment, Apollo.io works the best. So once we are able to find out the serial executives from Apollo data, we are going to use Prospeo. The problem with Apollo is we cannot trust their emails, right? So we are going to use Prospeo.io in order to find out their email address. Once we have this data, we are going to add them to our cold email campaign plus our LinkedIn campaign if we want. Alright, makes sense? That's what we're going to build in this lecture. Let us get started and let's go back to our N8N workflow. The next node, if you can remember from the Blackboard, is a code that will be able to find out the domain from the email address. So click on plus, type code. We are going to use a JavaScript code that will able to find out the domain from the email address. Again, this code has been written by Anthropic Claude. I haven't tried a single line of code. Just to save some time, I'm just simply copying and pasting the code here. Alright, but you will have this workflow in the resource section, so make sure to check it out. Once we have this code, once we have the name, email address and the domain, we are going to feed all of this information to AI agent and telling it to find out the decision makers or C-level executives from that domain. So search for AI agent. So we are going to use tools agent because we are going to connect Apollo as well as another code in order to format our response. But first of all, let us connect our ChatGPT model, search for OpenAI. Let us go back to agent. In this example, we don't want to attach any memory because we don't want our agent to remember anything. Then we are using two tools. The first is Apollo.io in order to scrape out C-level executives information. Second tool is for output parser in order to format the response that we will get from Apollo.io. Alright, so click on add a tool and we're going to use HTTP request to make a call to Apollo.io. And for description, we can say, you are a specialized B2B prospecting assistant with expertise in identifying high-level decision makers at the target company. Alright, for example, Chief Revenue Officer, VP of Marketing, VP of Sales, Director, etc. etc. Again, this prompt was written by ChatGPT and not me. And now let us go to apollo.io to find out all of this API reference. So log in or sign up with your account, but do mind that you will need an paid Apollo version in order to use this API. So click on admin settings, then go to integration. Scroll down and you will be able to find API. Click on connect. And what we are doing here, we are not enriching, right? We are just searching for the people from that company. So we are going to use search API. Click on get started. Awesome. So this is the reference documentation that we are going to use in order to connect our AI agent with apollo.io. So first of all, which method it is? As you can see, it is the post method. So we are going to use post. Then for URL, let us go back. So this is the URL that it is calling for. So simply copy this and paste it here. Then next, we have to add query parameters. You can see here. So let us go back to N8N and let us enable query parameters. So what will be the query parameters? The first is person's title. Let's say we are able to find out VP or CEO or CTO. We need the title of that particular prospect. So simply just copy this and paste it inside name, and we will define it manually. So we can say this will be the job title, right? Now the next thing we need to add in query parameters is we don't want to include similar titles. Again, seniority does not matter. Look, we don't need the location as well. And yes, we will need organization domain in order to cross-verify that the person who just signed up for our product has the same domain as the person that we are able to find out from Apollo.io. So just simply copy this and paste it here. Click on add a parameter. And let us define below. Yeah, use a placeholder for any data to be filled in by the model. So we want to tell the model to fill this data on its own. So we are going to use placeholder. Awesome. And now we don't need the organization ID, number of employees. Yeah, so that's pretty much it from the query side. Now coming to the headers. So if we go back, we want to make sure that we are the one that has the access to scrape out those leads from Apollo.io. For example, authentication or credentials. So here you can see in the curl request, header, header and header. So these three headers that we have to add, simply copy this, inside name paste it, and no cache. We will define it manually. Next, we have content type and accept. So both of them have same value. So if we even select one, it will be fine. So I'm going to use accept and the application/JSON. Lastly, we need to add our API key. As you can see inside header, x-API-key. X-API-key. And then let us go to Apollo, then go inside API keys. Let us create new one. Let's say N8N test and enable as a master key. Create API key, copy that, and let us paste it here. Yeah, that's pretty much all we need to do in order to connect your apollo.io with your AI agent. After that, we don't want to send out anybody, right? But we can give placeholder definitions so that our model can understand what to extract from that information. So as you can remember here, we are using for domains which is placeholder, and same goes for the title. So we can say, here this is the placeholder, for example, job title. We want to find out the job title of that prospect. We can define this definition to give it out to our model. So for first placeholder, scroll up and the first placeholder is job title. So copy this and paste it inside name. For description, we can say find out the job title, for example, CEO, head of growth, head of marketing, etc. etc. We can say add a job title here, for example, head of growth, and the type will be obviously string. Then another definition is this one, placeholder. So copy this. Let us click on add definition and paste it here. Now for description, we can say find out the domain from the email that you have got. And for type, it will be again string. So that's pretty much it. Let us rename this as Apollo People Search. Awesome. And if you have any question regarding this, do let me know. I'm always happy to help. Next, talking about the output parser, in which format we want to get the output. So we can define that as well. So click on plus and then let's use the JSON format one and paste in a structure format of what response we are looking for. See, I only want the full name, the LinkedIn URL, the job title, email and the domain. That's pretty much it. So this is one example, Manthan Patel. This is Suprava. I hope you got my point. So this is the response that we are looking for and our model will output the response in this specific format only. Now it's time to add some prompts to our agent on how to behave. So we can define the prompt. Let us open this. We can say, please identify 2-3 key decision makers from this company. And we are giving example like CEO, CTO, CMO. And for option, we can also define system message. We can use the same system message that we have used inside Apollo tool. Let's open this. We can just simply copy and paste it here. Alright, I hope this makes sense. Let us check our automation until now. If everything goes right, we will have the output here. Tada, we are able to find out the output. In this example, it is able to find out the C-level executives, which is founder or CEO, Adam Robinson, the LinkedIn legend. Now let us build the rest of the workflows by adding Prospeo and our cold email campaign tools. Alright, let us get started. Once we have received the data from AI agent, we want to format it in a structure format. So we are going to use code because we need to define, let's say, the key and the value. For example, job title is CEO founder, email is this, company is this, etc. etc. So we are just simply returning full name as full name, LinkedIn URL, domain, job title. That's pretty much it. Now it's time to find out their email address by using Prospeo. And we are going to loop this entire process because if we are playing with APIs, we don't want to hit API limits of Prospeo. So search for loop over items, and the batch size is 1. Next, let us connect Prospeo by calling HTTP request. So let us go to Prospeo, sign up or log in with your account, and you can use the free version as well. It has the API access. Go to accounts and click on API and let us open documentation. So we want to find out email. So this will be the curl code for it and this will be the URL. Copy this URL. Let us go back to our N8N workflow and paste it here. Then the method, as you can see, it is post method. So select post. And this time we don't want to send out any parameters, but we do need to send out the API key as X key. So enable headers and then copy this API key, paste it here. And for body, we want to send out the first name, last name and company. That's all Prospeo is asking for. Alright, so let us enable body. So simply copy this first name, paste it here, last name and company name. Awesome. And we will add the value once we execute our previous nodes. To save some time, I'm just simply adding the values here, the domain, last name and the first name. Awesome. Let us click on save and let's test our workflow. So if you open this, awesome. As you can see, we are able to find out the Adam's email and the status is valid. So let us rename this as Prospeo. And next, we need to format this data in a structured way so that we can send this data right away to our cold outreach campaigns by using edit fields. I have manually edited the fields. Response email, just drag and drop here. Response first name, drag and drop here. Same goes for the domain. Awesome. Now it's time to add another loop. Why another loop? Because again, if you open Smart Lead documentation, we can only upload 100 leads at a time. That's why we are introducing loop. And how we are going to export these leads to our Smart Lead campaigns? By using HTTP request. Awesome. So open your Smart Leads account and create a test campaign for it. And you will get your campaign ID from here. If you can see 1769 ending with 29. So this is your campaign ID. And to find out our API key, click on settings. This is your API key, click on copy and let us open documentations. Now what we are doing here is we want to send leads to our Smart Lead campaigns. So this will be the welcome page, but we need to send the leads. So under lead management, what we are looking for is we want to add leads to the campaign by ID. First of all, the method is post. So we will use post method. Then this will be the URL. So copy this URL and paste it here. But just simply replace the campaign ID of yours. Next, we need to add queries. So the query is API key. Copy this. Let us enable query parameters. Inside name paste it, and for the value, copy your API key. For headers, we don't want to send out anything. Now we want to send out the body parameters, like what information we need to send out. We can say first name, last name, their website, their LinkedIn profile, or any custom fields. For example, we already have their title, right? So we can use that title. We can use whatever you want. We can add another custom field variable, for example, the name of that employee who just signed up for our SaaS. In this example, Pete. So we can add this information to our campaign as well, so that we can use them as a variable inside our copy. I hope this makes sense. So we are going to just simply, so I don't think it is the right format. So just go to HTTP, right? Because we are making HTTP call. You just copy this, and what it is trying to say is we have to list all the lead input. For example, their first name, last name, or whatever custom fields that we want to input. So it's simply just copy this and let us enable body. We want to embed JSON manually. Click on expression and let us open this. So we want to send out the first name, email, website, and for custom fields, we are going to add the title and the first name of the employee, which is from our Google Sheet data. First name, which is Pete. Alright, I hope this makes sense. And now let us do the same for our HeyReach campaign or for our LinkedIn campaign. Let's rename this as Smart Lead and another one as LinkedIn campaign. Let us delete this, and loop this over. And let us test our workflow if it is adding the leads that we found out from Prospeo into a Smart Lead campaign or not. We have to first of all unpin this. Click on save and run our workflow till Smart Leads. Okay, so sorry, we have to loop this over here, and once done, we want to send out here. So sorry for this. Let us again click on save. Workflow executed successfully. It should be 1-1 or OK. So let us go back to our Smart Lead. Let us click on refresh. See, there are no leads right now. Awesome. So we have Adam here. So let us go back to our email campaign. The custom variable that we added, for example, the first name of the employee and the title will be added. So if we click on final preview, Pete, that was the name of the employee and the title as well as the name here. So that's how you can use this workflow instead of Play in order to find out people at a company. That's all from my side, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye, take care. If you have a list of companies or company name and you want to find out everything about that company, basically means company enrichment, as well as find out the decision makers working at that company, for example CEO, and write a hyper-personalized message, this workflow is for you. It is very straightforward, and we are using this amazing platform called Crust Data, which is a real-time company and people data provider. It is exclusive for APIs only, so inside our N8N it will work great. So if you scroll down, you can use in creative ways, like you can search for people, for instance tech companies in New York worth over more than 100 millions plus 50+ employees, as well as we can enrich prospect. This is what we are going to do in this workflow, which is enriching our company that we have inside our Google Sheet and finding out specific decision makers only. Let's say you want to reach out to only CEO or CTO or COO, you just have to define the role of the decision makers and it will find out the decision makers working at this company and write a hyper-personalized message according to the last LinkedIn post or any type of personalization that you want to add. Coming back to the point, you can also watch real-time triggers. This can be really helpful. For instance, if you are a hiring agency or staffing agency, and when some company post out like new job roles, you will get instantly notified in your Slack channel. Same goes for marketing or same goes for funding. This is a really great option. So now let us go to documentation. Basically, we have two type of enrichment, right? First is company level enrichment and second is prospect or personal level enrichment. So first of all, we will go to company data API, and let's say we have this list of companies. I will zoom in. Yeah, we have vector shift AI first of all. Again, I'm not making this from scratch because I have to add a lot of documentation, a lot of JSON codes and everything. That's why I'm just showing you, but this workflow will be in the resource section so that you can easily play around. As well as feel free to try my API key of crust data so that you don't have to waste your credits until this API key is up and running. Yeah, but first of all, we have to identify the company ID. If you can remember, in Apollo, we also have organization ID. In Epify, we also have organization ID. Here, we have company ID. So we have vector shift, right? It can work for company name as well. For instance, if you don't have the domain, if you have the name of the companies that you want to find out and enrich, you can also use query of company name, which is vector shift. It will work for website as well, which is www.vectorshift.ai. VectorShift is a YC-back company, as well as Crust Data is also a YC-back company for this reason, because you can do any type of enrichment. Like, the sky is the limit here. I'm just showing you this glimpse or demo, but feel free to add and modify according to your use case. Yeah, so by using just only one API key, you can literally do everything, any kind of enrichment that you want to reach out to your leads. Yeah, so if we use website instead of name, let's unpin this. It will work just fine. The goal here was to find out this company ID. After we have this company ID, the sky is the limit here. Awesome. So once we have this company ID, we want to enrich that particular company. So we will use another HTTP request, and here we will just pass the company ID that we have got from the first HTTP request. Add the token and the content type, that's it. And we will find every data points that is available on the web for that particular website. For example, their articles, fundings, the LinkedIn followers, their Crunchbase URL where they are located for found areas, employee count, Glassdoor reviews, G2 reviews, product hunt reviews, about their SEO, literally everything. Like, I have just added some important or vital data points, but you will find so many data points here. Like, it's too much. You can see some columns are hidden because there are more than 40 plus columns even after this. So let's start with, we will get the company name, their LinkedIn URL. So VectorShift is my company of my best friend, Albert Moore. Yeah. Then their Crunchbase URL, then the headquarters, largest headcount country, which is they are recruiting a lot from India. That's why it is India. Their address, founded year, their revenue on lower and higher bound, as well as the employee count, literally everything that is available. For example, when they started hiring. So as you can see, at this date, there was only one employee. And if you scroll down, this is the employee time series. Right now, they have 8, they have 7, they have 8. Now it's like 13. Next, if you want to only filter out specific data point that you want, you can do that as well. So this is an example that if you only want the headcount time series, you can just simply add that at the end of the URL and you will get the headcount time series. For example, at this date, the employee count was 9. Right now it is 26. Yeah, so this is how you can only filter out those data points that you want. Next, if you want to find out all the decision makers working at that company, you can do that. But you can also find specific decision makers if you want. For example, if you want to find out or reach out to only CEO, CTO, you can do that as well. So it won't cost you a credit to find out all the decision makers. It will only go for specific decision makers that you want to reach out to. So first of all, let us talk about finding out all the decision makers. As you can see, just we are going to add decision makers at the end of the URL. And we are simply going to pass the company ID. That's it. That's why finding out the company ID at the first step was so important. The first is Alex. Obviously, he is a CEO. That's why we want to reach out to Alex since he is a decision maker at VectorShift. Plus, we will get all the information about that prospect from the LinkedIn URL. So we will close this first row, which is of Alex. Now Albert. Albert is my best friend, by the way. And if you don't believe me, I will show you. So we have Albert here, and this is my profile. So if you scroll down, he has given me a good recommendation. I'm just kidding, but shout out to VectorShift. Yeah, so you can find out their LinkedIn URL, their title, and literally everything available on their LinkedIn. Same goes for rest of the decision makers. Alright, I hope this makes sense. But let's say if you want to only reach out to CEO or CTO, you can do that as well. So we will enter the company, which is our VectorShift, or the company ID, whatever works. And you want to find out the current title, which is CEO only, or CEO, whatever you like. So it will find out that particular prospect. In our example, we have Albert Moe, and the current title is COO. The beautiful part is we don't have to waste our credits on finding out that particular prospect's LinkedIn profile or LinkedIn data point. We will get everything from here. So what we can do is we can use this information, plus we can add some personalization from the last LinkedIn post or any LinkedIn post that you like. So you can also scrape out this particular prospect LinkedIn post. Just simply add the URL that we will get from our last HTTP request, which is Albert Moe. So it will scrape out all the LinkedIn posts of that particular profile. I was in one-on-one with a team, so let us open this URL. I was in one-on-one with my team member, so I guess this post is talking about team culture or work ethic, something like it. So we can use this type of personalization into our LinkedIn message. Imagine this scenario. You have a list of companies and you want to reach out to all the decision makers, and you want to create a hyper-personalized message for reaching out to their LinkedIn profile. You can use this workflow as it is. You don't have to change anything. Yeah, so we will feed all of this information. Obviously, you will also have the likes, repost, etc, etc. Now we can just simply feed in all of this information that we have got from crunch data into our LLM. In this example, I am using Google Gemini chat model since it is free and I can easily try it out here. Then if I want a very good message, I can use OpenAI 4.5. So I'm going to show you how you can connect Google Gemini chat model account inside N8N. So simply search for Google AI Studio. They will give you an API key for free. You can see you can go here as well. Click on get your API key. Click on create API key. Connect with our Google Cloud project of N8N test demo that we created, and it will generate an API key. So simply just paste that API key here. Yeah, that's it. This host will be automatically filled. So you can easily test out and create icebreakers for free without spending any single credit to OpenAI. Yeah, I think the message is pretty good. Let's imagine the ideal scenario is we are hosting an AI webinar on AI agents and AI automation, and we want to reach out to all these type of sales companies and their founder, and we want to create a hyper-personalized message inviting them to speak in our webinar. Our event is for exclusive conference based on AI and automation, and all you need to do is create an icebreaker, and these are some guidelines within 150 words and with figure I reach out, and we are giving all of this information about our prospect, their first name, their company description, the company name, and we are giving last LinkedIn post for reference of relevancy. So this is the message it created. Hey Albert, saw your post about trusting your team at VectorShift to deliver no matter where they are working from. So if you open Albert's last LinkedIn post, yeah, as I mentioned, it was about teamwork or team ethic. That's all he wanted. The works need to be done, that's it. Given your role, so it is adding their role, the company they are working for. We believe that you will be incredible guest or speaker for our exclusive conference on AI and automation. So that's why I figure I reach out. Again, this prompt is totally up to you. Feel free to figure out. You can write way better copy than this. But the main purpose of this lecture was to show you how you can use crust data to literally find out anything that you like and create this type of use cases for your prospecting and enriching. Again, this workflow will be in the resource section, so make sure to check it out. And if you have any question, do let me know. I'm always happy to help.